It's the big day. It is finally time to cast these into Argentium silver. I've been working very diligently to make sure that they are nice and clean so that I have minimal cleanup after casting, but I'm really nervous. I've only had pieces cast, I think maybe three times maybe total. Yeah, 3 times. So I'm really gonna try and learn the process this time so that hopefully in the future I'm not as nervous. But let's do this. At this point, my dad just kind of glossed over everything with a second pair of eyes, made sure things were smoothed out and symmetrical, and just did any little touch-ups with his wax pen that I didn't realize needed doing. But of course, once I saw him do them, I was like, oh yeah, it really helps to have a second pair of eyes that knows what to look for. Look over your work before you cast it. While he isn't a jeweler, he has been casting and working with wax for longer than I've been alive. So it was really cool to see him work and watch how steady his hands are and how intricately he can tackle any task. So it was really a treat to be able to work with him on this project. And honestly, I would not have been able to complete this project without him, especially since I had a deadline and needed to cast these pieces quickly. My dad's line of work is in dentistry, so you can imagine creating a tooth out of wax is much smaller than a piece of jewelry. So these are the largest flasks that he has that are round. So we started off using these, seeing how many we could get on one tree. We ended up getting 3 to a tree, and you'll see that in a little bit, but I'm just gonna leave this here and let you enjoy watching him work. With everything set on the base, it's time to invest these. He starts by adding this filter that goes on the inside of the flask and gives a little bit extra height so that you can pour a little bit more investment in if your piece is sitting high. This is a dental investment that is gypsum based and is actually quite soft. And the reason that we decided to use it, or I should say he decided to use it, was because it's a softer investment and he knew it would capture details better. And since these are relief-based wax carvings, he wanted to ensure that all of the little nooks and crannies came through once they were casted. So what's really cool about this is he was able to just kind of eyeball the viscosity of the investment and know whether it was too thick or too thin before he actually began pouring and mixing everything. This machine is definitely older than I am, but what's really interesting about it is that little hose sucks out all of the air while the spinning part works like a food processor and mix the investment to the perfect consistency. So it has a set amount of time that it needs to do this for based on the type of investment you're using. And then once everything is mixed, you can release the hose and the mixing agent, and you set it on this vibrating plate, which ensures that you don't have any bubbles while you begin pouring the investment. He alternated keeping the flask on the vibrating plate and then using the investment cup on the vibrating plate to help pour into all the little nooks and crannies. I love this part when you get to watch the investment level off as he sets the flask on the vibrating plate. I thought it was so cool. He tops off the investment, and this is really fun to watch. He just barely taps down the flask on that vibrating plate to level everything off, but not enough that it spills over and creates this big mess. It was definitely a treat to watch my dad work because he is such a master at his craft. We let the investment cure, and then he puts it into his kiln. Again, these things are super old, but they are workhorses. They have lasted forever, and they do a really good job. After the burnout is done, it's time to begin casting. While this is a really cool machine to work with, it's also pretty scary because you are flinging molten metal through this barrel, and it's just, you never know what could go wrong. But my dad sets everything up, and I go and measure out the Argentium silver that we're going to use to cast. This is the first time I've ever casted with silver, and I know it takes quite a bit of heat. So he's using his oxygen natural gas torch to get things lit up and molten. I didn't have a chance to explain what happened because at the time I was in such shock, but we used a softer gypsum-based investment that would capture more detail in the wax castings that I created. And the idea was to use the softer investment so that that relief style wax piece would really come through in the mold, and I would have minimal cleanup to do afterwards. Unfortunately, Argentium is a really hard metal, and this gypsum investment was pretty soft. So as soon as we released the centrifuge, the metal literally shot through the entire investment and exploded out into the barrel of the centrifuge. And all of that bright red that you see, that's molten metal. Now, while I was filming, it felt like a spray of molten metal hit my face. And I was about 2 feet away from the barrel, but my dad was the one actually investing. So I'm like, if I got burned, he got really burned. And I was terrified. You can actually hear him yell in the video, and that's why I quickly stopped the video and went to see if he was okay. And thankfully, neither of us were hurt. He had some little burn spots on his shirt, but it was really small and didn't actually touch his skin. It just hit his shirt. But both of us were okay. So that was really terrifying. Unfortunately, as you'll see in the next clip, not a single casting worked when we used this soft investment. So I had to go back to the drawing block and remake all 6 pieces, and that's where we are from here.
success.
Success?
Oh,
See something? Feathering?
feathering, yeah.
That's okay. Is that it? Is that... Okay.
We can invest the other
Okay.
3. Let me clean this.
Final outcome of our castings, we have 5 pendants that are good to go, good for me to start working on and cleaning up. Now, we did end up having to recast 2 separate times. So we did the first time that we had 3 pendants per flask, and we used a softer investment and it didn't work out. That's when you saw that whole explosion of metal. That was very scary. Thankfully, nobody got hurt. So we did recast them 2 to a flask, and we used a harder investment that took the lower amount of time to invest and burn out. So that's how everything worked out. I am remaking the one that didn't work, and then I just spoke to the client this morning and she said if it would be possible to add one additional one for her husband. So I'm gonna add a second one. I'm making 2 right now that we will invest together and burn out together and cast together so that I can finish everything and have them to her by her summit on the 27th. I'm really, really excited about this. I hope everything goes well, and I can't wait to show you the final products. That will be another video. But until then, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was fun and not so scary for you as it was for me. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. Also, if you're interested in learning about metalsmithing, fabrication, and wax carving, all of the things that I do have a Patreon where I teach, like physically teach how to do things. I have taught how I make my pave rings, so it's an excellent resource if that's something that you want to get into. If not, I hope you enjoy my YouTube channel, and I'll see you guys next time.